NWA Hard Times 3 and Revolution Rumble are November 12th and 13th in New Orleans. And the main event of NWA Hardcore 3 features 3 pro wrestlers: NWA champ Trevor Murdoch, Matt Cardona, and this man, pro wrestler, Fox News personality, best-selling author, and NWA TV Champion Tyrus, a Planet Tyrus. Thank you so much, Tyrus. So, right off the bat, will you be dedicating your NWA title win to Greg Gutfeld?
No, I will not. We keep, just like he won't dedicate his King of Late Night stuff to me. So, we keep it separate. I'm a firm believer, and when I win it, I'm going to dedicate it to me. I'm going to thank the people who helped me get to where I needed to go. You know, American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, Haku, Arn Anderson, the list goes on and on. Mike Rotundo, Billy Corgan for giving me the opportunity. So I'll give thanks where thanks is needed.
What has it been like for you working for the NWA?
It really has been, if I could just put it in one word, it has just been fun. We have one of the coolest locker rooms on the planet. Everybody understands what it is. Everybody rallies around each other. It was very similar to the locker room I was in the WWE. There was no crabs in the bucket. We want to see everyone succeed. Everyone checks their ego at the door. And it's sometimes it's tough to leave the locker room because you just want to hang out and talk and just be yourself all day. But at the same time, it's super competitive. Everybody wants to be number one, and when somebody comes through the curtain and everyone looks, I'm like, okay, game on, let's go. So it's just a really positive thing, and but emotions get high, and there can only be one guy holding 10 pounds of gold, which right now is Trevor, and Matt Cardona. Him and I, we started out together, Deep South Wrestling. We both have been able to be successful in the ring and out of the ring. And there's a lot of pride in this match. Trevor wants to be the fighting champion. I'm looking for redemption from '74. Matt never lost the title, so there's a lot of what have yous in this thing. And what it comes down to is who's willing to go the extra step to capture that goal. And I think I'm prepared mentally, physically. I trained alone this time. I didn't put much up on social media like I did the last time. Just here and there, just let my competition know I'm coming for them. But I'm focused, I'm ready, and they better be ready because there'll be no excuses.
It's interesting to me, too, because this is called NWA Hard Times 3. You mentioned Deep South Wrestling, and you also mentioned Dusty Rhodes prior to that when talking. And one of the greatest promos was Dusty Rhodes doing Hard Times, and I'm just getting your thoughts on that.
With kings and queens, and he's 8 beans in the alley. He's been top to bottom. Oh yeah, the American Dream. That's what most of our conversations like. As I sat under the tree of wisdom from him, we rarely ever talked about wrestling. He was always talking to me about life. He was always talking to me about being put out, going from Rolex watches and world championships and brand new Cadillacs to riding in Dick Murdoch's pickup truck trying to figure out what his next move was. That's all. So no one knows hard times more than the Bull of the Woods did. And I related to that because everybody, it's peaks and valleys, and I've been on top. I've been in the mountains, I've been in the castles, and I've also been in the shadows. So hard times, they couldn't have picked a more appropriate name of a venue for me to be in the main event because I'm finna put all those hard times together in one night and one effort and bring the NWA Championship back home to where it belongs. And although Dusty can't be there physically with me, I know he'll be there spiritually. And him and I, he always told me to paint my canvas. Well, November 12th is going to be my Picasso. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, what a canvas you've been painting, not only in the ring, but outside the ring. My gosh, it's just so many things that you've been able to do, accomplish, and continue to do. It's just, to me, it's just something because the life of a pro wrestler, just the wrestling part of it, is such a roller coaster ride. I don't care who you talk to. It is such a roller coaster ride and all. How have you been able to deal with the journey for you? And you just seem like in a great place right now.
Well, for one, I accept my failures. And I don't blame anyone for my receipts or my results. So it's very easy for me to rebound when, let's say, the WWE decided they want to go another direction and let me go. I didn't get the audition for the Marvel movie that I thought I was perfect for. I always look within. I always look at the guy in the mirror. So when I don't have to fix anything else with me. It's a very selfish mindset when you're dealing with when you fail and you blame the guy in the mirror, because that's the one guy that you can fix. So I always looked at things. And never being afraid to try. I never accept the word no. I was told too big for this, too big for that. Oh man, you're too big for stand-up comedy. My first live stand-up comedy show sold out. My second one, critically acclaimed, not an empty seat in the house. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you don't accept no. And again, that comes back from Dusty's teaching, where he would tell me to never accept no. There was established guys, Mark Henry, Kane, Undertaker, Big Show. They were institutions in the WWE, and he was like, to be better, you got to navigate through those waters, and they're not just going to give their spot to you, and especially if you're talented, which he believed I was. Like, if you listen to him, I was everything that you're supposed to be, and I believed when he spoke. And when you talk about great speakers, Muhammad Ali, Dusty Rhodes, they just motivate you. They know how to get inside of you and make you think. And even when they're not with you anymore, their words still weigh on you, and they'll come to you in moments when you're exhausted. You'll hear, "Paint your canvas, baby." You're gonna let the one thing he used to tell, and I always would smile to myself. And whenever I have a great moment, I always think, like recently, show was over, and I was in the back, and I'm like, he always used to tell me, whenever you get back in the curtain, just make sure you cut my check, because you owe me a check for all this knowledge I've given to you. So I always think about that. Like, I got to write him another check. But, and I keep writing those checks. That means I'm being successful. So, again, it just comes back to when I do fail, I accept the failure. I deal with the loss, but I don't point fingers. I stay in the guy in the mirror. So if I don't win November 12th, I won't blame Matt. I won't blame the ref. I won't blame the crowd. I won't blame Trevor. I'll blame me. And I'll have to make some serious decisions, because this will be my second shot at NWA, at the World Heavyweight Championship. And if I'm not able to bring it home, then I gotta ask myself some serious questions after this match. But I'm not intending on having that conversation with myself. I'm intending on winning.
What is Planet Tyrus?
Planet Tyrus. It used to be Planet Funk. And at one time, Matt Stryker, great ring announcer, great performer in the WWE, he used to say I was from Planet X. He was like, "You're just not normal. Like, he's like, you're 6'8", but your shoulders stick above your ears." He goes, "You're like an ogre, a Hulk. You're from Planet X. You're not from here." So it's just kind of a manifestation of that. And then Planet Tyrus, I read that great comic book, Planet Hulk, and it kind of like spilled over, and then it just kind of went from there.
Well, Tyrus, it's interesting too, because you mentioned like a Marvel movie. Is that something too you're continuing to try to do?
Yeah, my acting career is something that, obviously with the success of the Gutfeld show and the success of my stand-up comedy and the NWA growing in leaps and bounds and stuff, I got to pick my spots. But, the goal is still to do, when you're a wrestler, when you're an actor and stuff, you take your opportunities when you get it. You never, there's always a moment, you want to be a bigger-than-life character. And so when you get the opportunity, whether it's Marvel, DC, or something else entirely, you take it, you want to do well at it. And it's another challenge. Will it happen? Who knows? But I know it's not going to not happen, because I didn't go after it. You're not always going to win. You're not always going to get the first place trophy. But if you've given all you have at the end of the day, you got nothing to feel bad about.
It's interesting too, because talking about failures and overcoming failures, you've done that, and you've had a lot of successes. So let's not overlook that as well. Because
I'm all for smelling the roses. Just don't smell your roses for too long. Get back on, because once you get satisfied, or once you think you've made it, that means your demise begins. You always have to improve yourself. You always have to understand that there is, in wrestling and entertainment, there's no tenure. You know what I'm saying? There's always somebody younger coming up behind you, and the day you start slipping and get comfortable, there's only a few Ric Flairs and Hulk Hogan. There's a reason why we know their names, because they lasted forever. Most of us don't. Most of us are flashes in the pan, and someone's coming for us, and that's every day, whether it's wrestling or anything else in life. If you chose, if this is the business that you choose, you know that one day someone's going to take your space, and you're going to be fired. That's just how it works. We're all going to get fired. That's just the nature of the beast. You like to be able to see retire and go out on your shield, but even a lot of times they give you the option to retire, but they're putting you out on your shield whether you like it or not. So you got to continue to improve. You got to continue to be better. You can't just say like, oh man, I had a great week last week, so I'm going to chill. Someone's going to take your spot, and they should.
Hard times. They're going to give you that gold watch and then kick you out the door.
Oh yes, sir. That's how it works.
part of the Dusty promo.
Yep.
Well, it's interesting in a standpoint too, because how much has Gutfeld and your success in the show? And here's the thing: I just think this is incredible, because I read this, I believe last week. Gutfeld on Fox News Channel is the #1 show on late night talk, and then we're talking Colbert, Fallon, Kimmel, Noah, and Gutfeld is #1, and you're a big part of that show. And it is like a pop culture, political show, talk show with humor. So what has been that experience like, and that show becoming #1?
Well, it kind of morphed, you know. Greg, Kat, and myself were completely different in every walk of life, but our chemistry in front of the camera is just something that it just happened overnight on the Saturday shows, and just grew and continues to expand. And it's just, we make jokes, we laugh, we stick with comedy, we make our points, we don't take ourselves too literally, and people want to laugh. People want to, you know, and sometimes they want straight up. They don't want to be told how it is. They want to be told what it is, you know. And so I try to do that every week. And it's easy when you stay within yourself. You know, I don't believe in talking points. I'm never fed anything to say. I speak my mind. I don't always agree with everybody, and you shouldn't. And I think that's what makes it work, is that the three of us just kind of we feed off each other, and you just never know what you're going to get from us. And I think that is what's gotten people tuning in to the numbers in which they're tuning in to, where we're beating. And understand, we're down 35 million every night. So the fact that we're beating them, and they got a 35 million viewer lead because they're on basic cable and stuff, is pretty incredible, you know. And it's something that you wish there wasn't so much of animosity towards, you know, what is construed as a different side or a different point of view. Because at the end of the day, comedy's comedy, and if you can make people laugh, you know, then you can communicate with anyone. So we'll continue the success, but we're working hard, because you know they are. You know what I'm saying? So we'll continue to bring it and be prepared, and that's the biggest thing for me is wrestling, TV. It's the same thing. You got to be prepared. You got to train. You got to film study. You got to know your shit. And if you don't, you're gonna look like a fool out there, because you're only as good as your last match. You're only as good as your last promo, and you're only as good as your last TV show. And that's as real as it gets.
Well, a couple of points to make from what you just said. Free TV versus what you all are on in cable TV, and them having that jump, and you still are #1, like you said. That's amazing. And the thing I noticed about the show, here you have Planet Tyrus, this huge, larger-than-life person. He's got his NWA TV Championship belt with him. And the funny thing about the whole thing to me is, when you're making points, the crowd is applauding. You are very articulate, sir. You've made some very good points, whether people agree or disagree with them. And I think that's something that now people are learning about you that maybe they didn't know. I didn't know.
Yeah, well, you can't be a dummy to be a wrestler. That's #1. People don't realize that a wrestler wears a lot of hats. And just as much as I'm physically imposing, I'm intellectually imposing. Knowledge was always something. It was free. You could get it anywhere. The answers were in books. I always enjoyed reading. I still enjoy reading. I was researching. It's something that I always looked at it as an easy thing. Knowledge is power. And when you literally you pick up a book and you can gain power from that, that made sense to me just as much as it would be benching 600 pounds is a tremendous feat. Also, reading a book on zoology and biology, or reading a book on history, or reading the Game of War, reading Shakespeare. Those all build power, and a powerful brain is more formidable than any muscle, because whether it's steel, flesh, or whatever, it's the mind that wields it. So your game needs to be mentally. You need to be mentally strong as you are physically strong. And if you're not willing, but the thing comes with intellect is you got to do the work. Very simple. You learn more when you do the work. You study, you learn it. Period. And so when I hear people say, "Oh, I don't need to," well, what are you doing? Are you rather go to the club, or are you going to sit up all night and research and be prepared for any question when you get your opportunity on TV? So, but I always wasn't that way. Wisdom, kind of, being able to listen and make corrections and stuff. So it's all about being prepared.
And you are. Kudos to you, sir, for that. A couple more questions. We'll get you out of here. Would you say you are now the most famous person from Quartz Hill High School?
Well, it's either me or Aaron Emanuel. So
wait a minute. Is that the heptathlon? Who are we talking about? Or is that the child? I know there's a child actor that went there.
No, he was a running back for the New York Giants.
Oh.
He went to USC. I'm trying to think of anybody else, but I might be the brightest star in Quartz Hill, but that doesn't, I'll take it.
Go Royals! All right, so, hey, you got to work with one of my favorites of all time, Austin Idol. What was it like, part of the NWA? What is it just like working with Austin?
Austin Idol is the fountain of experience. The thing about him is he's always teaching. He has a great school, but his teachings never stops. Like, if he wasn't a wrestler in real estate, he would have been a good high school teacher. He's always he has a way of explaining things and breaking them down and slowing them down for a lot of the young guys. And I'm always learning something new. And one of the things that I like about him a lot is he'll ask you a question, not because he wants the answer, because he wants to see where your mind's at. And I always dig that about him. His experience is vast. He's been there. He's done it all. He's been through good times and bad times in this business and this sport. And so he's just a fountain of information, if there ever was one. And I don't think I've had one TV taping where I haven't gone to him to ask him something. So it's nice when you have that experience from a different time. And I think that's what makes NWA unique, is because we're more physical wrestling than a lot of the other promotions, and it's more of an old school, holds matter. Our guys are bigger, so you ain't throwing Junior Kratos around every night, and Aaron Stevens and some of the other guys we got in there, and you got Trevor Murdoch. He's 250 pounds, walk around. Nick Aldis is 6'5". Tom Latimer is probably one of the most technically sound guys out there. Chris Masters. I mean, we had just a physical guys, and we got young guys like Jordan and Jeezy and Marche Rocket can literally drop kick somebody out of the building. So I mean, the talent, and I'm just not naming a few. And any guy, any given night can be a champion in NWA, because you're literally one move away when guys are this big and this physical. So you can't make a lot of mistakes out there.
Oh, and Tyrus, the Camille, another one on the women's side, another big force that's out there too. It's just that the talent is just, when you look at it, it's just incredible.
She's probably the most aggressive women's champion probably since Medusa or Lunder Blaze or whatever you say. But I just, in terms of like her physicality, everything she does matters. If I was going to compare her to another wrestler, she reminds me a lot of Goldberg. Just very physical. Whether woman, man, doesn't matter. She's physical. Everything she does matters. I saw her get, I think it was Max, the Impaler, up on the torture rack, shades of Lex Luger, and I was like, you just don't see that. I mean, she snatched her up like she was just a bag of quarters, and just was like, and I was like, you You don't see that every day. That's not something you see. And there's one thing to be strong, but she's smart strong, and she's been a tremendous champion. And I'm looking. I can't imagine her not being champion coming out of Hard Times. She's just on a streak right now. I just feel like she's in a zone. And there's a lot of great female competitors in NWA, but I just feel like she's in a zone right now.
And you were once a bodyguard for Snoop Dogg, who is a big pro wrestling fan, and he's appeared on some pro wrestling shows. And I'm just curious, have you ever had any pro wrestling interaction or talks with Snoop Dogg?
We talked about wrestling all the time when I was working for him, and I was with him in Jacksonville when he beat up the great Chavo Guerrero, which started my second run back in the WWE. But he's watched since he was a child. He's a big fan. He's in the Hall of Fame, so I mean, he must have did something right. Loves wrestling and watches it all, enjoys it. He's a fan of it. And I think that's great, being the fact that he doesn't have to be a fan of anything. When you look at the size of his career and how he's back on top at a high level, and I don't think there's not one show on TV that doesn't have a Corona commercial in it. So, couldn't be more happy for his success and his continued success and his evolving and growing as times change, and that's not easy to do. So, but he's a great wrestling fan.
And sports-wise, Tyrus, are you a Boston sports fan? Are you a California sports fan? What's going on here?
I grew up in Lynn, Massachusetts, till I was in Peabody, Massachusetts, till I was 7.5. I was already setting my teams. Diehard Celtic, Patriots, Bruins, Red Sox fan. And I was used to losing a lot. We had a hell of a run. Now things are kind of getting back to normal again. My team's had a hell of a run. So I'm a happy fan, and I can accept the fact that we're 4-4 with young quarterbacks, and the Celtics are. I think the Celtics have got we made it to the finals last year. Yeah. I think we're a little bit older. We're a big away though. We need a big. Williams is out, but they need to sign a Cousins or Dwight. They need to get a big in there to get some rebounds, make some fouls, and keep people up. Tatum and Brown, but diehard fan, love sports, enjoy my time. Huge boxing fan, and of course, I probably don't go one day without watching a wrestling pay-per-view from. I like to watch a lot of the '80s and stuff because I'm always finding new stuff, and just their mindset was just so much different. Their pace, they just work smart. It's just there's really across the board. Like lately, I've been on the Freebirds kick, walking Michael Hayes and stuff. Big left hand. So I enjoy checking him out. Him and Jimmy Jam and their feud with the Rock and Roll Express, and their feud with Flying Brian Pillman and the Z-Man has been just enjoy those tag matches.
Oh, that's great history right there too. And some of those tag teams that you mentioned, you put them up there with, oh my God, the best of all time.
Yeah. And if you want to learn anything about cutting a promo, watch Jim Cornette. You don't like him, hate him, whatever, but when you watch him do his stuff, nobody got heat like he did. Nobody.
Jim Cornette, Paul Heyman, to me, another one. You don't have to tell him, but just say, hey, here's the event coming up. Boom, take the mic, and then that's it.
Yeah, I mean, these are guys who were born and bred in this business and both started from humble beginnings. And Heyman, you get one promo with Heyman, you're made. A guy to keep an eye on is Jeezy. He's been my manager, and this guy, he reminds me a lot of a young Cornette. He just has the ability to he can just go. I mean, I could talk all day, but I really don't have to with him. He just, and then he gets in the ring and he'll surprise you with some amazing stuff. Really tough, hard-working guy who knows his history and his business, and I'm looking for great things for him in the NWA coming up. But it's really a good time to be in wrestling. I'm happy. I'm ready to go. I'm in the best shape of my life. And hopefully I'm going to make history November 12th. And it's going to be a beautiful thing.
NWA Hard Times 3 pay-per-view, and you could also see everything on FITE TV. NWA Powerrr weekly shows, got that old school studio feel, which is awesome. Old school NWA style with new school, new talent. veteran talent. What a combination. Tyrus, I want to thank you. I'll leave you with this.
Thank you so much.
I'll leave you with this because this is interesting to me. All right, you mentioned Deep South, so I'm thinking Jody Hamilton, the Assassin. So there was the Assassin 1, there was the Assassin 2. Also before that, you had Mr. Wrestling 1 and Mr. Wrestling 2. Now, the NWA has question mark 1 and question mark 2. Does Tyrus have a favorite?
My favorite is Scion. Scion's my favorite. You know, the mask. He reminds me a lot of the masked superstar. Very businesslike. He wears the black suit. No nonsense. High powered. I had a pretty good feud with him defending my World Television Championship against him. And now, you know, he's the national champion. But he would be my favorite. And I think Aaron and the question marks are dangerous, and we got to keep an eye on them.
Tyrus, thank you for the time. All the best on your future endeavors, current endeavors, all the successes. Good for you, Tyrus. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Have a great day.